Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you. Ooh, and that mic is hot. We welcome you to this forum this evening, featuring the candidates for Legislative District 27 to represent us at the legislature in Idaho. And we're grateful that you've come. We know that there are many things going on tonight around our valley here, and we're grateful that you have chosen to come here this evening. This meeting is planned to last about 3 hours. I hope you plan on staying that long. Really an hour and a half. And but if we're not through, don't leave, please. Okay. My name's Mark Peterson, and I'm the Republican chairman. A pleasure to serve there. Our invocation will be given by Bert Stevenson, a former representative here, if he can make it down. And after Bert, we will stand, and Jenny Bateman will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll go to that point. Thank you.
Don't get old and clumsy. Our Father who art in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have in living in a country that allows us to assemble this way. We're thankful for those people who have made an effort to qualify for these seats that they're seeking. We are thankful, Father, for the many blessings we've received from Thee. We would ask a special blessing this night to be with the people of Ukraine, that peace might be able to reign in their land. Now we pray that those who are participating this night will have the ability to express themselves and to say those things that they desire. Again, we're thankful for all that we receive, Father, and give Thee thanks for it. And we say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
There are seats down front and throughout the auditorium here. Thank you very much. We would like to make a few introductions as we begin this evening. We have with us this evening 4 former legislators that have served our legislative district so very, very well in the past. And we would like them to stand and hold your applause until all 4 are introduced, and then go ahead and give them your thanks for being here. First of all, recently retiring Fred Wood and his wife Amy is here with him. Bert Stevenson, who gave the prayer. Jim Kempton and his wife Susan is with him. Jim, thank you. And then Senator Denton Darrington is here as well. They served this legislative district so well for so many years, and let's give them thank you for all of their service. Idaho is divided up into 7 regions. We happen to be in Region 5, and Wayne Hurst is the chairman of Region 5, and we have him here, and we'd like to introduce him. Kent McClellan is the vice chairman of the Legislative District 27. Kent, where are you? There you are. Thank you very much for being here. Watching on TV or wherever is the Oneida County Chairman, Larry Oya. And there's a number from Oneida County that are watching this evening, and welcome to this legislative district. We appreciate you being present. I haven't seen our Minidoka County Chairman yet. I'm sure he'll be on the way soon. We hope, because he's got an assignment this evening. Anyway, John Smith and Cassia County Chairman Doug Pickett. Well, Doug, where are you? And Larry, Doug, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Now then, quickly, I would like, if you are a member of the executive board of a county Republican organization, or if you're a precinct committee person, would you please stand and just remain standing for just a minute, okay? Don't be bashful. Thank you very much. The rest of us I know you would like to be more involved in the Republican Party here in our area. And so check out one of these persons, give them your name, contact information, and you'll be invited to the next meeting that we have, whether it's Cassia, Minidoka, or Oneida counties. Thank you, precinct committee people and leaders there. There are also many elected officials and candidates for other offices here tonight, and thank you for coming, and we appreciate you being here. The purpose of this evening is for each of the candidates to speak and respond to some questions, and to help you to get to know them better and perhaps know their political philosophy. And put together, we solicited questions from throughout the 3 counties, and we received questions submitted, and we received over 80 questions that were submitted to us. And we formed a little committee, and they went through them carefully and selected the 12 questions that will be asked tonight. And hopefully some of you submitted questions, and yours is part of it. But anyway, we're grateful for those who got together and did that. This evening we will go in this order.
The oldest was minted in 1878 and 1870.
Carl Voigt, would you please come and select a coin? And then you can set here the one that's going second. That's first? Okay. One of these, go ahead, you've got 2 minutes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for participating in this event tonight, this candidate forum. It's important for all of us to participate in this process, and what a great opportunity that is for each and every one of us to be involved in this process that we have in our country. My name is Doug Pickett, and I'm running for House Seat A in District 27. And it's a privilege to be here with you. We live in an era of unprecedented.
Sorry.
Thank you. You said it was a hot mic, so. We live in an era of unprecedented government growth and spending. Increasingly, government affects nearly every aspect of our lives, not just physically or financially, but spiritually, emotionally, and physically. My father grew up a few years ago during the Great Depression. One thing he used to say is that during the winter, when they didn't want to drive, they would put their vehicle up on blocks because they couldn't buy gas or couldn't afford it. When he became a teenager was when he first realized that Uncle Mart and Aunt Beth and Uncle Walt and Aunt Lyra weren't really his aunts and uncles. They were crannies and Matthewses. They were known as aunts and uncles to him because families in those days relied upon each other, and that's how they got by. Government was never even thought of to be a part of that equation. We live in an era where there is a change. Today, there is a growing sense of entitlement where people are expecting government to solve all of their problems and meet all of their needs and expectations. This is the world we live in. There's a famous quote to me, that I'd like to share with you. No warning? Oh, okay. Thank you. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia once said, "The transformation of charity into legal entitlement has produced donors without love and recipients without gratitude." I'd just like to close by saying this culture is not sustainable, and I will fight for limited government and more freedom. Thank you.
I was like, I feel like I have an unfair advantage there. I got my teacher eyes in. I could see that. Good here that have gone through our public schools. And like many of you, I used to sit out there and listen a lot. And then I used to send a lot of emails, and I used to fume at home when the news came on and when people got up here and spoke. And finally one day I woke up and I challenged a friend of mine sitting on the roof. I said, both of our representatives are retiring. We can flip a coin or see who falls off the roof first. I lost both. I got involved in this race because I think politics needs to change. I think the way we have done things for so long has gotten us into a bad spot. And I think we need to change the way in which we view our election system. I think we need to encourage more people to get actively involved. And if that means being the guy on the hot seat, you should be that guy. Hopefully I will inspire others in future generations to not be afraid to stand up here and get cowbelled. Finally, as I search the internet, I find bits and pieces of information. Ronald Reagan was the president when I graduated from high school. I was kind of upset because I didn't get to vote for him. And then he retired. In his retirement, I'm going to read part of his speech. He says, "We the people." And that's what this is about. We the people. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Do you have time to fulfill this job if elected? And what steps have you taken to prepare?
Oh, yeah, good question. Do I have time? Sure, because I'm told I'll get all the sleep I need when I'm dead. It's a part-time job, right? No, it's not. It's year-round. It's full-time. I understand that. I spent almost a year making my decision to stand here in front of you and decide that I wanted to represent the community I lived in. What have I done to prepare? I've spoken with my employer already about how that will be handled, as I'm a contracted employee with the school district. I've spoken with my family, made arrangements to where will you live, how often will you be home. Yeah, it's a full-time job, but it's an important full-time job. So.
Same question. Very good. Thank you. Yes, it is a full-time job, but it is a citizen legislature, and I think it's important that people of careers who actually have careers outside of the legislature serve in the legislature, and I promote that and encourage that to continue. I think a perspective is important, and I think it's important that we don't turn this position or these positions into career positions, fully career positions. But yes, you have to be available full-time to answer constituents' needs and be available. I have prepared myself. I have relationships with many legislators already, and I feel like I have a sense of the process and some of the concerns that exist that the legislature is dealing with right now. And I've had conversations with many that have helped me gain a broader perspective beyond my career perspective that I would bring to the job. So those are the things that I've been working on over the last 20 years.
Doug, if you'd just stay there, please.
All right.
Okay. Next question, Doug. How would you stop the loss of state employees to private business?
Very good question. I think I'd channel that question into the education world. In small towns like Oakley, where I'm from, where we rely on on our local rural school is our best and only choice besides homeschooling for our kids. We've seen tremendous turnover in teachers in our school, and that has affected my kids' education. And I think it's important that we improve those opportunities and that we maintain a competitiveness in those positions so that our kids can have consistency. I remember when my oldest son, Mazer, who is here tonight, was in junior high and progressing into high school. He had an ag teacher that was here for a year, and they, if I remember right, at least one of them went to Wyoming and another one went to another state. And that was difficult for him because you just get started and you start again. So, thank you.
Would you like me to read the question again?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
You're all ready to pay more taxes, right? Yeah, that was a joke. I'm not serious. That's a difficult one. I'm a state employee, have been for 22 years. There are ways, I think, to incentivize state employment that's more than just your salary. A lot of people don't realize what the state has in terms of retirement. The best, most secure retirement system in the nation. That maybe when you're 20 or 22 right out of college isn't a big deal. When you get to your 50s and your 60s and you're looking at the end, we need to educate our young people, especially going to college, that there are benefits to working for your government, and we need to highlight those. Thank you.
Stay up here. For decades, Idaho has had a tax on groceries. Where do you stand on this issue and why?
Well, tax on groceries. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's kind of one of the hot topics right now. Where do I stand? If we can get rid of it, I think it's a benefit. But like with every tax, when you reduce one or eliminate one, you have two choices. You either cut funding to something or there's less funding to be doled out. I had an interesting conversation. In my household, my grocery tax, I calculated it the other day, is about $800 per year. So you're going to cut my budget $800 per year. That's great. I can spend that money doing something else. But are there other ways that we can benefit everybody equally? Because the grocery tax doesn't affect everybody equally. So, thanks.
Thank you. Yes, as far as the grocery tax goes, this is an important issue that's been in front of the legislature for consumed a lot of time this year. And in 2017, the legislature removed the grocery tax, and I supported that. And it was vetoed on the 11th day by the governor, and therefore it is still in place. And I would support that again, or at least its equivalent in a tax credit. I know some efforts have been made along those lines, but I think that, especially in these times of inflation, we need to repeal the grocery tax or offer a full equivalent to the citizens in terms of a tax credit, whichever is best for the citizens. And I football, unfortunately, with a lot of emotion, because I think it's distracting from some larger tax issues that we're dealing with, including the initiative that's being proposed in November, that I think is not being talked about enough. I got to get used to that.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, final question. Large amounts of farmland are being lost in Idaho to development. What incentives or changes would you attempt to institute to curb this practice?
Yes, this is a difficult question, and one that I've been asked before in forums. It's obviously a broad concern given our growth. You know, there's a rub that you have the protection of private property rights and the ability for people to develop their land versus the benefit of nations, because once it's developed, it's gone. I have a hard time restricting private property rights. That seems to go against the grain. But I do think that there's things that can be done to incentivize growth in areas that are less productive but still suitable for growth. What those answers are, I'm going to be looking for help, because that's a very difficult question, and I don't feel like I have all of those answers at this time, honestly. But I think we need to look for incentives to incentivize private landowners.
You like the question again, Carl?
No, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how do we do that? We spoke at the Farm Bureau and somebody asked that exact same question, and my thought was similar to Mr. Pickett's. I think it's designing incentives to build in places maybe that aren't used for agricultural purposes, but that's going to require long-term planning, infrastructure. Somebody made the, because then people will want to build their homes where they can go buy groceries close. That's a difficult one. I was thinking the other night to myself, there's a lot of houses where I live in the Pella area. They're getting built on farmland. And I'm not a farmer, but not many farmers would walk away from $100,000 an acre. So we have to, it's a difficult thing. We have to figure out a long-term plan. Are we done?
Carl, you have 1 minute to summarize, and then Doug will. Thank you.
All right, 1 minute summary, 3 to 5 sentences. Here we go. I appreciate y'all coming out here tonight. I got involved because I want to help I got sick and tired of unopposed candidates, and I got tired of having to choose the lesser of two evils. So now I feel like you all have great choices in front of you, and no matter who you choose to represent you, of all of the people here tonight, you will get good ones. Thank you for being here.
Again, thanks for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be with you and rub shoulders with you all, and greetings to everybody on the internet. You know, my goal, one of my main goals, if I'm elected, is to change the culture in the legislature. I think it's too much about personalities and not enough about principles. And I think that's very unfortunate. And I think that this can be done where we can have a relationship with everybody who has emotions on any issue. Now, I've been somebody who says that I'm naive to Antonin Scalia. Once again.
I come from a big family. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and it was always hard to have your voice be heard in our household. But it was always interesting to see how my mom would kind of legislate around the table at lunchtime and at dinner time to let us all be heard. And I think that's why we're all here tonight, because we, the people, would like to be heard. And I would like to be that person to take your voice to the State House in Boise. I'm a farmer. I'm a small businessman. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. And I'm pro-family. And I think we need to have somebody who represents those values in Boise. We've had awfully good representation over the years. I'm proud to say that my uncle served this very county for many years, Bard Chatburn. He was a great example to me, and he was kind of a trendsetter in our family. After my Uncle Bard served for many, many years, my mother decided to throw her hat in the ring, and she served as well for 22 years. My folks were always very involved with politics, and I was always the kid they left home on the farm to take care of what needed to be done. So I'm used to taking care of what needs to be done, but I don't intend to stay home this time. I intend to go to Boise and take care of what needs to be done. Government is an interesting animal. If you think you're going to change the government that's broken, you have to start with changing the personalities that you work with and interacting with those personalities. It's a systematic way that we do business in Boise. So we have to work on the system. We don't work on the personalities. We learn how to get along with the personalities, even if we don't share the same religious values or personal values. My name's Pat Field, and I'm running for Legislative District 27B, and I would appreciate your vote May 17th. Thank you.
I brought my own timer up because that bell is really obnoxious. My name's Clay Handy. I'm running for seat B as well as all of these gentlemen, and I think they're all wonderful candidates. I was raised in Burley. My wife, well, I was raised in Paul, My wife was raised in Burley. We married, lived in Burley. I think that always how it works, right? You live where your wife grew up. We have a trucking company. We have a concrete packaging company in Meridian. I have a small farm with my son in Northern California. I love business, and I think a good portion of the government is business. I also love community, and I love community service. I was a city councilman for 8 years, a county commissioner for 8 years. I served on the hospital board for 13 years. I'm presently chairman of the Burley Area Development, which has been extremely successful, too successful in some ways. We've quit helping anybody come, and they're willing to pay their own way plus pay us to come. That's how attractive this area has become. I'm also very fond of my grandkids, and I want them to have the opportunity to grow up in an Idaho as close as the Idaho I grew up in as I possibly can. I'm not naive enough to think that we can just scrap things and start all over, but I do believe that with a little more cooperation, we can address issues and we can create the kind of governance that will provide a good life for my grandkids and for each of us. I'm always interested that everyone's wanting and willing to cut taxes until you ask them what they're willing to give up, and they're never willing to give up anything. They just assume that it would still keep going. I think the biggest detriment we have, biggest problem though, is families. We have to address families in order to address society. Vote for me. I'd be happy to go there. I'm looking forward to it. Up. I beat the bell. Thank you.
What do you see as the most pressing issues facing the state, and what solutions do you propose to implement?
So one of the most important ones right now is going to be water. And the reason you say water is because it's tied to freedom. It seems like a lot of the political go-getters are starting to go away from the Second Amendment and going after our food and our water. So what we need to do is we need to have strong legislators up there who aren't going to be afraid to back down, who aren't going to be afraid to hurt other people's feelings, and other legislators, when they come out of their committee, and tell them that what they need to do is go back and rework it so it works in favor of the people. Water is the lifeblood of not only for humans, but it's going to be the lifeblood for our agricultural portions of the state. We lose that, we lose everything. And we need to have people who are willing to go up there and fight. That's what it's going to take. And then when that committee gets done with it and we get down to the nitty-gritty and getting the vote, we need to make sure that we're voting in the right conservative Republican way.
Let us know if you need the question again.
Yeah, please repeat the question, Paul. Thank you.
What do you see as the most pressing issues facing the state? What solutions do you propose to implement?
So I believe the most pressing issue facing the state of Idaho is outside politicians with good intentions. We have an interesting situation in the state of Idaho. We pay taxes and we send them to Washington. And then Washington turns around and gives us our own money back so that we can implement the behaviors that they want to see in Washington. And oftentimes those behaviors are not congruent with our Idaho values. I think we've got to say no. We've got to quit playing that game. We've got to say no to the federal government. We've got to do the right thing, stand for our values, and say no to well-meaning politicians.
Sure. Give it to me one more time.
What do you see as the most pressing issues facing the state? What solutions do you propose to implement?
So I see several problems facing the state. Water is a big issue for us here in this district, and it's our lifeblood. Our aquifer's in trouble. Our surface water is not in as sufficient supply as we've had in the past. We need to be very careful and very judicious with our water systems. The other thing I see that's a real problem is personal property rights. We see that people are infringing on our personal property rights. As a farmer, that's a big thing to me. I don't want to see a housing development coming in around my farm, and then all of a sudden the sheriff shows up and decides that I can't bale my hay in the middle of the night when the dew's the best. I also see a problem with our educational system. I see the overreach from the federal government and the federal money that comes into our educational system that takes the opportunity from the parents away from each one of us to be able to educate our children the way we would like to. We don't want to have these outside influences coming into our state and influencing us in any way, shape, or form as far as our family values. Thank you very much.
So there are lots of issues facing the state, and there are lots of serious issues, but really, we're dang lucky to live in this state because the issues we're facing are not near as great as the issues that most states are facing, and certainly most countries. I think the best thing that I see could help our state is for local entities to have more authority and for the state to give back some of the things that they've taken from districts and counties and cities. As a county commissioner, we never once had anybody come and talk about our budget. And why? Because it didn't matter. It wasn't going to change their taxes. Because the taxes, the state gives a 3% maximum increase, and they take it every year. Every county takes it every year. So I just wonder what would happen if counties got to set their tax rates and people could come in and complain, and you can make some of those adjustments. So I think we need to have more confidence in our local entities. At the same time we give them more things, we need to push the federal government out.
Okay, now, the next question, John, would you start off, and then if you could keep going in the same order. Idaho is presently a right-to-work state and an at-will employee state. Do you agree that it should stay that way, or would you vote to change Idaho's status? Also, how does the issue of medical mandates affect your answer?
Well, medical mandates don't affect my answer at all. I don't see the connection. So just a little bit of history. I've got grocery stores in Utah, Idaho, and Montana. And in Montana, I bought an Albertsons store that was unionized. And the union came to me with a directive that was impossible to meet financially. And so we fought and we fought and we fought. And in Butte, Montana, it's very hard to fight against the union. Unions were established in Butte, Montana. There is a labor museum in Butte, Montana. Ultimately, we closed that store. Several months before we closed, our employees saw the writing on the wall, and they voted to get us out of the union. I am an advocate of right to work, and I absolutely support no mandates.
Shall I read it again for you? You bet. Idaho is presently a right-to-work state and an at-will employee state. Do you agree that it should stay that way, or would you vote to change Idaho's status? How does the issue of medical mandates affect your answer?
I would not vote to change the way Idaho is currently. We are a right-to-work state, and I think that's good for all of us. It brings back opportunity for our kids. Wherever the unions get involved heavily, it seems like they bring their own mandates with them. And whenever they mandate that we do something other than what the legislature or the local school district would have us do, it seems like we always have some kind of a problem that arises from that. So I would not be a big advocate for changing the way Idaho is. I think we're fine just the way we are. I don't think we need mandates. In fact, I would fight very fiercely against mandates because it takes the opportunity for you, the people, to have a voice in Boise and even right here in Burley, Idaho, and across the river as well, and even in Oneida County. Thank you.
Whoa. So my grandfather served in the legislature years ago as a Democrat, and he voted for right to work. And that was the end of his political career because the Democrats booted him out at the primary election. So yeah, we are a fan of right to work. I think right to work makes all of us better employers because we realize that we need to treat people fairly and correctly. And that's something I try to do really, really hard, is be a good employer. As far as mandates go, I've driven an electric car for 10 years and I've loved it. And I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's just been a great deal for me because I run the socks off of it. It's going to pay for itself. The government mandates on electric vehicles, this is just an example. The government mandates on electric vehicles is going to take that whole industry and make a mess out of it, guaranteed. There isn't anything I ever see about a mandate that is helpful to the community.
Would you like the question
Yeah,
again?
please.
Okay, Kevin. Idaho is presently a right-to-work state and an at-will employee state. Do you agree that it should stay that way, or would you vote to change Idaho's status? How does the issue of medical mandates affect your answer?
Okay, so I love the fact that we're right to work. Unions may have served their purpose a long, long time ago, but you take a look at some of the unions that are going on right now, all they are is a left-wing propaganda machine. Let's take a look at our local, only one of the few unions we have here, and that's the teachers union. It seems like we are putting more and more money into our education, yet we're getting less and less out of it. And some of that money is going into places we don't want that to go. And so, yeah, unions are bad. Another thing on the mandates, the medical mandates and anything with mandates, no. We don't need the federal government or the state government telling us how to live our lives. We need a little to no footprint when it comes to government involvement, and all mandates are, in my mind, is something that has really no teeth but a lot of bark. I like the way Idaho has governed for a long time, and we need to keep it that way.
Pat, I believe you're up next.
Who can tell with the musical chairs going on? I don't know. It's entertaining for us. I don't know how you like it. We're having a great time. Pull one of those chairs out now. I went over my time already. I'm sorry.
Need a college education to figure out things.
Idaho has substantial growth, and local taxing districts are very limited in how they can fund growth. What proposals do you have to make this more feasible and legal for taxing districts to plan and develop for growth?
That's a really good question. I've been traveling around listening to the problems that come into all the different commissioners' offices. I was in Oneida County a couple weeks ago. I was in Cassia County about a week ago. And then this past Monday, I spent the day with the Minidoka County Commissioners. That seems to be a very hot topic in our area because we're trying to figure out how we're going to fund all these new services that we need to provide for these people that are moving in and how we keep from breaking the people that are already here. It seems to be very popular to go ahead and add more fees to the new people as they move in to their building, and the opportunity seems to arise that we want to charge them more for their goods and services. Now, we're going to have to fund our police, we're going to have to fund our firemen, and we're going to have to take care of our schools. But after that, we have to be very careful about how many taxes we go ahead and put upon the citizenry here in our counties.
Yeah, I want to hear that question again.
Idaho has substantial growth, and local taxing districts are very limited in how they can fund growth. What proposals do you have to make this more feasible and legal for taxing districts to plan and develop for growth?
I think that question fits in with this topic I was talking about earlier. If people really want to own and be involved in their government, then it needs to be more on a local level. And that's hard for the state to give up. I mean, I've said in plenty of committee meetings in Boise, and they talked about the incompetence of counties and cities, and that let's do this because, or they'll say, let's do this because Ada County really ticks me off what they do and those kinds of things. So I think it's time to turn more back to local. It's the only way to actually get people back involved. I don't think any of you have a lot of warm fuzzies about talking to a state representative and thinking that that it's going to change a lot because he's one of 70 or one of 105. But if you talk to a county commissioner and he's one of 3, then you can see change, and you can have the ability not only to get involved but to run and participate without having 3 months to go to Boise. So I say give more back to them.
Yes. The next one's longer. Idaho has substantial growth, and local taxing districts are very limited in how they can fund growth. What proposals do you have to make this more feasible and legal for taxing districts to plan and develop for growth?
Yeah, so that is a tough one to get to. I think one of the problems we run into when it comes to funding things is we have a lot of excess spending taking place. And so maybe what we need to do first is go through and see what programs we really don't need to have. The one thing I fear with a lot of newer people moving in is that they want to come in and introduce all their services that they were once getting, like, you know, garbage pickup and all kinds of different things, when we've been so used to doing it the way we always have and saving ourselves money. I agree with the comments that we need to bring everything back down to the local level, because that's where we're going to see the growth. That's where you're going to see everything with the land grabs and stuff like that, and putting all that into place. And I think if we can give the voice and have a voice where people can work with one another and get that done, I think we could really see some great success. But I think that we should go really lightly into raising and adding new taxes and take a look at what we can cut and how we can kind of distribute some of the things we have going on here locally.
Who's that?
John's next.
John?
Do you need the question again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Idaho has substantial growth, and local taxing districts are very limited in how they can fund growth. What proposals do you have to make this more feasible and legal for taxing districts to plan and develop for growth?
So this is a question I think that fits my philosophy very well. And my philosophy is that we have to be able to operate on a local level and take care of local problems, and that those problems are best solved on a local level by people who are familiar with what's going on. And a one-size-fits-all from Boise for every county is never going to solve the individual problems that we have in each county.
Thank you.
We got a fourth question.
Do you have a question?
So Clay's got it.
Yes,
Am I the right guy for it?
yes, you are. And you know, a lot of you,
It sounded simple when Mark explained it. I don't know what happened.
okay,
We're having way too much fun over here.
I know.
That's right.
But we're going to hit that 3 hours, and everybody will be mad at us.
no, we're going to do this. All right, Clay, the next question. Should the separation of powers as outlined in the Idaho Constitution be weakened to make the executive or judicial branches more subservient to the legislative branch?
Absolutely not. You know, the reason that there's three areas of government is for the balance of power. And I thought it was interesting, you know, you can look back in history, and we'll look back at a long time when the governor made his declaration and things got shut down, and the legislature, I think most of them were pretty ticked off. Thought it was probably an overreach. So you had that session where they bounced back and forth, and I think they ended up with something that's doable. The governor still has the power to declare, but there's a time limit on it before you have the agreement of the legislature. And I think that's how, sometimes when we go into areas where we've never been before, and then we test the Constitution, then we find out what we need to do differently so so that rights are protected and good governance prevails. But if you let one entity or the other get too strong, you don't have good governance. It doesn't work.
Kevin next, yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. Would you like me to read that again, Kevin?
Yeah, please.
Sure. Should the separation of powers as outlined in the Idaho Constitution be weakened to make the executive or judicial branches more subservient to the legislative branch?
No, they should not. We need to have that separation of power, and it has to have the same equal power. The nice thing is we can see over history how many times having that individual separation of power has protected our great nation from powers that be that get in and have these bonehead ideas of how they're going to run the country and then run it right down into the ground. And I think we're kind of living that right now. And I think if we didn't have things like a strong judicial system to protect us, or on the flip side, our legislators and stuff like that, we wouldn't have any kind of a foot to stand on, and we wouldn't have the ability to have the freedoms that we have. It's what segregates us from the rest of the world. We have equal parts that protect us, and they protect our rights, and that's what we need to hold true to ourselves.
It'd be John.
Now that we have the seating arrangement figured out.
John's up next. I told you. We're keeping track here.
Okay, would you like the question again, John?
Yes, please.
Sure. Should the separation of powers as outlined in the Idaho Constitution be weakened to make the executive or the judicial branches more subservient to the legislative branch?
So we live in a republic here in the United States. There's also other republics in the world. We could go, for example, to the Republic of Iran, or we could go to the Republic of North Korea. Now, there's a difference between those republics and our republic. And that's because our republic has 7 layers of separation. And those 7 layers of separation are what keeps us from losing our rights to well-meaning politicians. So absolutely, things should remain, and we should work to protect those separations of power.
Now it's your turn.
I'm pretty sure it's me now.
Would you like the question again, Pat?
I just love to listen to you read, Wayne.
Oh.
Please.
Yeah, right. You are becoming a politician. Okay. Should the separation of powers as outlined in the Idaho Constitution be weakened to make the executive or judicial branches more subservient to the legislative branch?
No, sir, is my answer to that. If any of you are following the current affairs in the state of, or in the United States of America right now, you'll know that there was a leak in the Supreme Court this week, and what a mess that has caused. Why are we legislating from the bench? We have the perfect example of how to legislate ourselves right here in the Constitution. I think all of us know what we need to do. We know of the separation of powers, and we know why we have separation of powers. Government is meant to move slowly and methodically and carefully. And I think we need to continue on that path. Our forefathers set that path, our feet upon that path, and there are many good men who gave their blood and all so that we could have this Constitution. Thank you.
Careful, gentlemen. So that there's no misunderstanding in this musical chair party that we've had up here, we will go with Clay first, then Pat, and I don't know what's going on behind me, but it's got to be good. and then John, and then Kevin, and they will each have 1 minute, and they'll try to beat the bell. I'm confident that they will. Gentlemen, did you remember that? Yeah. Good.
I didn't set it. So, as I think about this group of men and all of you and your interest in our state and our governance, I think it's really motivating. It's exciting. And I look at these legislators that are here that have served for years. I think that I was probably in every one of their committee meetings at least 2 or 3 times. I've spent a lot of time, maybe not Fred's because it wasn't into medical things, but I've spent a lot of time in Boise appearing before committees on issues that affected the trucking industry and the hospital industry, all those boards that I've been serving on. I'm looking forward to being able to take what I've learned and apply it. I don't think that our state is broken. I think it's been very well managed over the years. There's some tweaking that needs to be done. There's some civility that needs to get back in the legislature. And I'm a civil guy.
I'd just like to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I think one of the things that has fallen upon me especially is apathy. I think we've all become a little bit apathetic. We've looked at the candidates that were on the ballot, and we just looked for the one with the R at the end of his name and checked that box. Well, I'm done doing that. I want to find out who the candidate is. I want to find out what they represent. And I want a real election. I don't want a coronation. I want a real election. And that's what makes our system great, is we have this opportunity to come to the primary system and pick the very person, or get to listen to the very person who we're interested in and support that individual. Now, I've had opportunity to get to know all these gentlemen, and you might notice we kind of get along. In fact, we enjoy each other's company. I'm the other guy that fell off the roof. My name is Pat Field, and I would appreciate your vote on May 17th. Thank you very much for coming out tonight.
So I believe that good government is small government, and that there's an optimal size for government to be, and that government should protect our rights and our liberties, and that those rights and liberties were given to us by our Creator, and that it's government's job to make sure that they're protected. I am grateful to be up here today. I remember, as being a high school student, I remember when this podium was built. And I remember speaking from this podium as a junior or as a high school student at Burley High School. I look forward to having my children look forward to a prosperous future. I'm John Stokes. Thank you very much.
Someone lost their phone up here. Is it an iPhone? Oh, there you go. I remember we always hearing about the little comment with Benjamin Franklin, and he was asked, what do we have? Do we have a republic? And he said, yeah, if we can keep it. That's what's so great about everybody here today, is that everybody here is trying to keep that alive and going. And you guys are the ones who should be given that round of applause, because you're out here doing the hard work. You're doing what a lot of Americans aren't willing to do, and that's getting to know who you're voting for instead of just voting for somebody, or just us having somebody come in and just, be appointed. This is a great opportunity for this district, because we have had this challenge and this competition. And so we're gonna have the best sitting up there. And I hope that I am the one who gets that nod, because I will be the one who will work really hard for you, and I will do everything I can in my power. Vote Kevin Williams, vote Kevin Williams, vote Kevin Williams. Thank you.
Before you gentlemen leave your chairs, that you have so graciously, I don't know what the right word is, but anyway, now that we are almost done, in that container over there, Janet Arrington brought some water. And so if you need something to drink, am I up here too? It's really hard to get good help, as you well know. Okay. Did everybody speak?
Isn't this a right to work state?
Yes, it is.
Yes, we also.
Okay. Okay, have a drink or take a hike, whatever you like to do. I am confident that this next race will not cause so much confusion up here at this gym, and as much as there are just two of them. And if the two of you or the others who spoke wanted to get a drink as well, that's fine. Thank you. We'll now move to the Idaho Senate race, and we would invite Jeannie Hakes and Senator Kelly Anthony to come forward, please. Oh, pick up a coin.
78 or 79? I don't know which is which. Ladies first.
Okay. Thank you. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be with you tonight. For those in Oneida County, thank you so much. We're glad to have you in District 27. My name is Kelly Anthony. I'm running for re-election to the Idaho State Senate. My wife and I are long life members of this community. We have considered it a huge honor with our family to serve this community in the Idaho State Senate. Many of you know me. I've been here a long time. You know what I stand for. You know the values that govern my life. You know my experience and you know my character. For those of you who don't know me, you have the misfortune of learning about me through social media and signs and things like that. But I have something great that I can offer to you. I have a voting record, and I am happy to discuss it with you and happy to share it with you, and I encourage you to pour through my voting record to see what I'm all about. Outside here, I've got copies of it. I've got a copy here that I would like to share with you as well. But my voting record is pro-Constitution, pro-family, and pro-prosperity for this community. Several years ago, I stood on this very same stage when the Republicans sent me to Boise. And I said that I would do one thing, that when I looked at a piece of legislation, I would ask the question, is this good for the Idaho family? And I have kept that promise. And with your re-electing vote, I will continue to keep that promise. Idaho is doing well. I'm proud of Idaho. We have a prosperous economy. We have more freedom than most states. We are considered the least regulated, and we are doing well. And so with your help, I hope to continue the work that my voting record shows and continue to represent you here in District 27. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeannie Hakes. I am a local business owner. In our business, we make products that are used on the dairy farms here locally, across the country, and around the world. Each of our products will save our dairymen at least 60% of the chemical that's used in those products. We have never raised our prices from the day we opened our doors. In fact, we go as far as selling the chemical that goes in our products, and even though we could make more money, we are saving the dairymen this much of their chemical because our focus is on our customers. Our focus is on the dairymen who feed the world. Chemical companies do not like us because our customers are using so much less chemical than they would without our products. This is what I would do as your senator. I would focus on what is best for the Idaho citizen. My focus as your senator will not be on what do the chemical companies want me to do? What does Big Pharma want me to do? What does big business and big government want from me? My focus is on the citizens of Idaho. What is best for the Idaho citizen? What is best for your families? What decisions can I make to help you thrive in your families and in your businesses? This is my promise to you, that my focus is on what is best for Idaho. Thank you.
Say, Jeannie, would you, I think it's your turn now. This is related to what's been discussed somewhat, but we wanted to hear what you folks had to say about it. Property taxes are local taxes. Sales and income taxes are statewide taxes. How do you feel about the push to reduce property taxes, but centralize tax collection and disbursement to the state government and remove those decisions from local entities? What would you propose to do differently?
It's always best to keep decisions local. So anytime the people locally can make the decision, that is the best way to do things. Our government is taking too much of the dollars out of our pocket. This is true. Our property taxes continue to go up. They talk about raising the sales tax. We have the grocery tax. So tax is an issue. The way to fix this problem is to trim the government. The government has grown 21% this year. Our legislators made that decision to grow our government by 21%. This means that more of our tax dollars are going to areas that are not necessary. We have so much fat in the government that if we look at places to cut, always trim government first, and then look locally as how you can distribute the taxes.
Would you like the question in, Kelly?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. Property taxes are local taxes. Sales and income taxes are statewide taxes. How do you feel about the push to reduce property taxes but centralize tax collection and disbursement to the state government and remove those decisions from local entities? What would you propose to do differently?
Well, first of all, I do not support the centralization of collection of those taxes or the turning over to the state government of these local decisions. But there is a connection between your state taxes and your property taxes. And I'll give you an example here in Burley. When the state of Idaho does not properly fund road repair in the city of Burley with road revenues, what does the city of Burley do? I know this, I was their attorney for a few years. They have a levy override on your property taxes. They increase your local property taxes to pay for your roads. And so there's this connection. And what we need to be doing is making sure that when we provide a mandate for the local government, that we provide the money to go along with it. You talk to your county commissioners, they'll talk about this issue. The issue of being told how to do things by the state, but not being provided the dollars to accomplish the task. Thank you.
It's a little different with just two of you.
Yes, sir.
House Bill 735A, in the name of property tax relief, has suggested, oh, I'm reading the wrong question. Well, I guess we'll move forward on it. House Bill 735A, in the name of property tax relief, has suggested centralizing criminal public defense guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution, 6th Amendment. How do you think this new system should be fleshed out? County-based, region-based, statewide? What about funding?
Thank you very much. I think this House Bill 735 is amended in the Senate. Very important bill. Because what it will do, first of all, it's going to reduce your property taxes here in Minidoka, Calumet, and Oneida counties. It's going to centralize a system of public defense which is being challenged constantly by the ACLU through frivolous lawsuits that are costing you money. And so I'm very pleased to see that we're making some progress. Now, how you flesh that out, I think that we need to be hearing from our local government before we take that position. I would like to see it done on a regional basis so that our county commissioners have good discussion about how a local public defense office should look. Make sure that that is still very connected to the community, and that the quality of the lawyers is such that we can, again, stave off the ACLU in these frivolous lawsuits. Thank you.
Take the question again.
Yes, please.
House Bill 735A, in the name of property tax relief, has suggested centralizing criminal public defense guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution, 6th Amendment. How do you think this new system should be fleshed out? County-based, region-based, statewide? What about funding?
Isn't it always best to keep things local? Having a good prosecuting attorney and defense attorney is very important, and so the funding necessary, it should be equal funding so that those that are being defended get the equal, they have the equal opportunity that the prosecuting side has as well. So isn't it true that whenever government grows, the voice of the people is diminished? And that can be said whether you're talking property tax or whether you're talking defense attorneys and prosecuting attorneys. The voice of the people must be heard. And I'm so glad that you're here today, because you are speaking loud and clear that you want to be heard and that you understand the voice of the people is how our country was established. Thank you.
Sorry. We'll get this figured out when we're about done, right? The next question, what role, if any, should the government take in protecting the health and safety of its citizens?
Well, during COVID, we saw that there was a definite overreach in our government in the name of safety, and yet our founding fathers said that a nation who seeks safety over, or seeks security and safety over freedom will lose both. And we saw that during COVID, and it's a red flag to us all. And I think that's why you're all here, is because that flag was waving loud and clear. So the government should not step in and take charge of our health and our personal safety. The government's role is to protect our borders. That's what the federal government does. When we are sick, we know to stay home. When we are in danger, we have our police department who is there to take care of us and help us. But mandates are not for the government to impose upon us. Thank you.
Would you like the question again?
Please.
Sure.
And I'm told my wife is signaling that you can't hear me well. Okay, yell at me if you can. Get up closer. Okay, there we go.
Okay. What role, if any, should the government take in protecting the health and safety of its citizens?
Well, first of all, the federal government and the state government are different. And the state government does have a role in the health and safety of the people of the state of Idaho. But not to the extent that we interfere with people's constitutional rights. And so in this list that I have here for you, before you go home, take a look at it, you'll see my votes. I voted to make sure that parental rights are protected in extreme emergencies. I voted to declare that all Idahoans who work, have a family, have a business, are essential to the state of Idaho. I voted to protect the right to keep and bear arms during emergencies. I voted to limit the time period of a disaster emergency declaration. I voted to protect the constitutional rights to worship and to assemble. I voted for the people's livelihoods to be protected during emergency declarations. I voted on a governor's spending limit during times of emergency declaration. and I voted to make sure that county health officials who are not elected do not have the right to create crimes and put us in jail. Thank you.
Kelly's back up.
I'll learn by the time it's over.
Water is critical to Idaho's economy. What would you do to protect Idaho's current water supply, and what would you do to enhance future supplies?
Well, I think we are doing it. I mean, we have done a conjunctive management system of the state's water, both groundwater and surface water, for a number of years. Our local leaders here have been pivotal in making sure that we have water protections for our agriculture, the adjudication of the Snake River Basin. We've done a lot to protect water. One of the challenges we've had, and we've heard it discussed just a little bit tonight, is the residential growth that we're seeing in Idaho and the puncturing down every acre or so of a new well. And how will that affect the aquifer system that we're trying to protect? One of the things that I'd really like to see the state of Idaho do is get a little more creative with the way that they do some of the recharge projects in the state of Idaho. For example, the city of Rupert is cleaning up their water. We come to a reuse level and we farm with it. But if you were able to harness the water that's rolling through cities as an example, bring that to Class A reuse level and start using that for recharge in the aquifer system, wow, great idea. Thank you very much.
You want the question again?
Sure.
Water is critical to Idaho's economy. What would you do to protect Idaho's current water supply, and would you do to enhance future supplies?
Last year, Bill Gates, Brett, sorry, all these names calling. Mike Simpson, that's the one. Mike Simpson came to visit, and he was in Rupert, and lots of you were there, and I was there, and he was there to propose his idea of breaching the dams to save the salmon. And as he sat there presenting his ideas, and we were listening, then we had a question and answer period, and the whole time he was sitting here, he was sitting like this, and then during the question and answer period, he was sitting like this. And my thoughts were, I don't think the real reason that you want to breach our dams is to save the salmon. So I asked him at the end, I said, what is your relationship with Bill Gates, and why do you want to remove Idaho's hydropower, and why do you want to establish nuclear power instead? And all of a sudden he sat up and he said, I only met Bill Gates twice. Well, vote for Brian Smith. That's how we can help our water situation in Idaho.
Idaho is changing. There's a reason why we are no longer just Minidoka and Cassia County in our district. We now have Oneida County, which we're happy to have. It's because this area has not grown as fast as our urban areas. And so the trend that we will see going forward are more and more legislators from Boise, Idaho Falls, and Coeur d'Alene. And now more than ever, we need strong, effective voices who understand the rural issues, who can advocate for our needs and protect our way of life. That's why I'm asking for your support, your continued support, and for your vote in my re-election on May 17th. Thank you very much.
In the 1700s, our literacy rate was 98.2%. Our founding fathers understood that in order to remain a free people, we had to be literate. There has been an attack on our school system. That literacy rate has dropped tremendously. That is because they understand there's an attack on that school, on our school system, because they understand that if we can't read and write, we don't read and write, then we will fall to their tactics and we will not remain a free people. In fact, if you write in cursive, you have an 8% increase of remembering what you wrote. 8 times. It's an 8 times memory of what you had written because of just writing it in cursive. We must take this seriously and vote for those who are going to stand by the Constitution that our founding fathers established, that we will vote to protect our personal liberties and our God-given right to govern ourselves. And I'm asking for your vote May 17th. Thank you.
I thought I was getting a curve thrown at me there. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for your attendance. We are grateful for these candidates who are here tonight. That's not an easy thing to do, is to come and get a question cold and respond to it. I would invite you to check your clock and to see if we are on time, and I trust that we are. Thank you very much. I don't know whether or not your issue was dealt with this evening. Perhaps it was, and perhaps you have other issues. These candidates will remain around here as long as you're willing to stay and talk to them. They will be delighted to be here and visit with you. We are grateful for the technicians up there and Dusty Fisher, who serves so well here in this building. We are grateful for them. Remember to vote on May 17th for you or who are so inclined. Early voting began yesterday and will continue until Friday the 13th. Whatever that means, there's something there, I'm sure. And May 17th is the day we vote. And so unless somebody has something different, we stand adjourned. We're grateful for these two gentlemen and their questions. So thank you.